Hi, BC family. Welcome to your midweek devotion. This week, I want to talk to you about the great exchange. So, in Philippians 4:6, it says, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God." Now, the very next verse, in verse 7, says, "And God's peace will be yours." So, we see that in verse 6, it's the steps needed to attain God's perfect peace, that peace which transcends all understanding, and it mounts guard and garrison over our hearts and over our minds. So it starts off with be careful. And I want to look at this verse in its original format in Greek, right? And the word careful in Greek means miranao, which means to be troubled, to be anxious, to be fretful, to be worried about something. And in the New Testament, this Greek word miranao is used for basic provisions of life. Money, clothes, food. And we see it lots of times in the New Testament, but we see this one in its form again in Matthew 6:25, where it talks about taking no thought about what you shall eat or drink or put on. But it adds another Greek word to it. It adds the Greek word me, which means a strong prohibition to stop something that is already in progress. So we see in Matthew 6:25 and in Philippians 4:6 how Paul and Jesus are speaking to people who already have worry and fear and anxiety in them, and they're telling them how they can get rid of it. Right? So they're speaking to people who are already full of it, and they're going to tell you how you can rid your life of that. So Paul is telling us to not let the events of life get to us. He's telling us and begging us really to not be worried about the basic needs and provisions required for life. And I like that, because if you think about it, right now, everywhere you look, life is constantly throwing stuff at us that can then, in turn, throw us into this state of anxiety and fretfulness. And Paul's speaking directly to people who have that going on. And he says in Philippians 4:6, "Be careful for nothing." And that word nothing has an extra meaning to it too in the Greek. It's meden, and it means absolutely nothing. So if you reread the beginning part of this verse in its Greek form, it says, "Don't be worried about anything." And that means nothing at all. So it's saying, don't worry about what's happening in the world. Don't let it wrap itself around you. Kind of like a boa constrictor, how they squeeze and squeeze and squeeze, and it chokes the life out of you. When you don't have peace, that's what life can feel like it's choking everything out of you. And so now you're thinking, well, how do you accomplish this? Well, verse 6 is the steps to accomplish it. And the steps are prayer, supplication, thanksgiving, requests, and the word known. Those are all the steps to take to attain that peace from God. But right now I want to focus on step 1, which is prayer. And in the Greek word, the word prayer is prosouche. And it's made up of 2 words. It's a compound word of pros and ouche. And the word pros means closeness. It carries the meaning of intimate contact, upfront, close, right? And the word ouche means wish, desire, or vow. And I was reading in Rick Renner's book, Sparkling Gems, and he talked about the word prosouche. And it says that it's depicting a person who made a vow to God because of a need or desire in their life. And in this vow, they would give something to God, and in exchange for a favorable answer to their prayer. There's that great exchange, right? So this is the part of the great exchange that we see in the word prosouche. When you come close to God in prayer, an intimate face-to-face time with him, and you give him all your worries, all your fears, all your anxieties, all your fret, all your grief, right? Then you give them all to him in exchange for his perfect, amazing, life-changing peace, right? So now you can translate that verse even more in Greek. And it says, don't worry about anything. That means nothing at all. Instead, come before God and give him the things that concern you so he can give you what you need and desire. And we see in verse 7 that that's the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. I heard this visual about this verse, and I want to share it with you. If you imagine that everywhere you turn in this supernatural realm that we can't see, just evil thoughts constantly coming at you and flowing at you, right? You open up social media, the TV, have phone conversation, walk outside your house, right? It's just constantly flowing at you. But when you do what you just saw in Philippians 4:6, when you make your request known to God, when you begin praising God, then God sends in his peace. And this is the visual that I like. And his peace goes past the evil thoughts, headed right your way, and it's faster than all of them, right? So all these thoughts are coming, but peace goes, because you just gave it to God. You gave him your request, you're praising him, and he sends his peace. And that peace goes right up here to your heart, and it sets up a shield in your mind and in your heart. And so when the evil thoughts arrive, peace is there saying, sorry, can't come in here. It guards my heart. It guards my mind, right? And Mount's guard and garrison of our hearts and minds. And it's saying, nope, you can run along. And it's allowing me to keep my focus on Jesus because I have my peace up. And my peace is keeping those from penetrating. And my focus is now back on Jesus. Now, as you're walking out this great exchange from day to day, you still have to maintain that peace and protect that peace. So you're giving all your thoughts you're taking thoughts captive. You're throwing bad thoughts out. And when you're declaring how good God is in your life, and when you're shouting about his awesomeness and truly giving him everything that concerns you, then he sends that peace, and you can't settle on the negative. It can't penetrate that peace that transcends all understanding. So it's protecting your peace, and it's allowing peace to stand guard at the heart. It's choosing to walk away from conversations that are unlovely. That's protecting your peace. It's turning off the television if it's not pleasing to God. That's protecting your peace. It's not entertaining certain thoughts, literally saying, nope, no more. Giving it to God in exchange for his peace, right? And this one's important. It's not taking offense. So just recently, and that's a hard one, especially in this day and age, but just recently my daughter, she was at a park and someone said something super unkind to her, and she was so mad. She was just really mad about this kid's comment. And so we had a conversation about taking offense because she wouldn't let it go. And so I talked to her about how offense is like water, and we should be like a duck. Because when water hits a duck, it doesn't penetrate the feathers. It actually rolls off, right? So think of like a waterproof blanket or water-resistant clothes. If you spill something on it, it beads up and then you just wipe it off. It doesn't soak in. I said, we need to be like that. When people say things that we could take offense to, we need to brush it off. We need to let it beat up and roll off and not let it penetrate. And there's a scripture, a part in the Bible that just really shows why taking offense can really tear down your life. So it's in Mark 6:18. John the Baptist told Herod that it wasn't right that he was sleeping with his brother's wife. And the lady that they are speaking about is Herodias. And she got angry. She heard what John the Baptist said. And now she's mad. She took offense, right? In verse 19, it says, and Herodias was angry, enraged with him, and held a grudge against him and wanted to kill him, but she could not. So she is letting this offense soak in, right? And when we take offense and allow it to soak in, one of the first things that we do is we now go share that offense with other people. Can you believe what so-and-so did? Can you believe that they said this? Can you believe this? Can you believe that? How dare they? So we're taking that water that's in us and we're throwing it on other people. And now we're letting that water soak into them, right? And this is seen in what's happening here. So Herod is not going to touch John the Baptist. He has respect for him and he's not going to hurt him. But Herodias has been telling her daughter all this stuff, right? She's been throwing her fence onto her daughter and her daughter's been soaking it up. Now, one day her daughter got to dance before King Herod. So she was able to go ahead and dance. And Herod was pleased and said, ask me for whatever you desire and I will give it to you. He said, I put myself under an oath. You can even have up to half of my kingdom. It says that in verse 23. But she ran back and asked her mom, what should I do? And guess what her mom said? Asked for the head of John the Baptist. So time has passed and she is still holding on to that offense, right? Now watch this in verse 25. And she rushed back instantly to the king and requested this. Now look at it. Look at this. It says she rushed back instantly. She didn't even think about it. She was like, oh yeah, because she had already taken on her mother's offense. It's not even her offense. It wasn't even about her. But she's allowed the water that was splashed off her mother into her to soak into her. And now she just asked for the head of John the Baptist. She missed an opportunity. She could have been ruling half a kingdom. He just said, I would give you half my kingdom and I'm under oath. But instead, she hung on to this offense that her mother had. And instead of getting half a kingdom, she gets a bloody man's head on a plate. The opportunity was missed because the offense was soaked in so strongly and it wasn't even her offense. That's what offense does. It really, truly breaks down your peace. So in order to protect your peace, you can't take that offense. You have to let it beat up and roll off, right? So in order to keep protecting our peace, we need to set boundaries in our life. Be careful who speaks into your life because peace is the guard that stands here and it gives you all understanding, right? But it's you making the choice to protect your peace. And it's important to keep your guard up. So right now, we're bombarded from every angle and every side with negative thoughts and negative things happening in this world. We're told what to say, how to feel, how to be, how to act. And sometimes it's hard to locate your peace. And remember that our peace is in Jesus, right? But I love Proverbs 12:20. It says, plan peace and you will have joy. I love that. Plan peace. It's important to come up with ways that you can live and have a lifestyle of peace, to cultivate peace and protect your peace, right? Fear is a huge tool that the enemy uses, and especially nowadays, it's a massive tool that he's using. And I was listening to Karen Harmon, and she was talking about back when the pandemic started, her and her husband, I think I might have said this once, had a discussion of how do you protect your peace? And they have kids, and they wanted to know, how should we protect our peace? So they decided they were going to be careful about what they consumed, because what you're pouring into is what you're going to focus on, right? And then they also decided to dig into scripture, but really dig into scripture so that it would be the light of the word would outshine any lie of the enemy. And lastly, they decided that they were going to fill their home with worship music so that it was permeating the atmosphere of their home. They were making a plan for peace so that they would have joy. So this week, make a plan for peace so that you can walk in joy. Do the great exchange. Give it all to God so peace can flow in and Mount Garden garrison over your heart and mind, that peace that transcends all understanding, and then make a plan to protect that peace so that you can walk in joy. Have a great week. Bye.